name's John, and I'm your host. This is kind of a little bit of a less formal episode here today because it's kind of raining outside. It's very wet, and it's not raining at the moment, but it's still raining, so I didn't really want to sit out. I just kind of wanted to kind of talk about a few things that go out around the yard and everything, and just kind of show you these are my pretty cool primrose. This is called I believe it's called Zebra. Get the tag here. It's called Blue Zebra. Go figure, because it's blue. And this one I think is called Party Girl. This one smells really, really nice. Like, it smells really fragrant, but this one doesn't really have very much smell. It's just mostly the foliage or the flowers that look really, really cool. But then I got some nasturtiums in here and stuff. These are really good for hummingbirds, and you can actually eat the leaves in salad and stuff. So they're nice to have. And I usually like planting these out in a kind of a shady spot because they don't really like sun too much. Anyway, I'm going to take you around the yard. I'm going to show you what I really wanted to show you, which I really want to talk to you today about irrigation, how to save water with irrigation, and garden compost. So right here amongst the weeds, you can see I have a garden hose. I believe that's a 5/8 inch garden hose coming in, and then it's meeting with a ball joint valve. Move these weeds out of the way. A ball joint valve, and then it hooks onto some PVC with glue. This is 3/4 inch PVC. It comes down and then hooks into one tie that goes off to a 5/8 inch hose for irrigation. That is for melons and stuff in that bed. And then it goes to a joint, comes down. We bring it all the way down. See, and all this is downhill. So at this point, when the water's flowing, it's all picking up speed. And I got a tee there, which is going to go to, these are going to be tomatoes here in pots. Those are all going to be like just bush tomatoes. And then over there we have, that's the end of the track, but we'll get to that later. Then it comes down here. That hasn't been anchored. This piece hasn't been anchored, but it's basically a tee. Try to keep the camera steady for you. It's basically a tee down here, and then a stent of hose. I need to anchor it to here like that, but they're all like flopping over because I glued it wrong a little bit, but it was my mistake. I wasn't paying attention. And but just tie it up to there, and then it comes up to an elbow right here at the top, and then a insert that then has threading inside of it. And then I threaded a piece, a little barbed piece, to hook onto the 5/8 inch hose, which then goes into the flower bed, and then has drip hose. This is 1/4 inch drip hose, and it's connected to the hose barb through just a little barb that you stick inside there. And see, I put this length of hose like this along here so that you can basically plug in. So let's say you have another piece of hose here like this. You can take another barb and plug it in if you needed more water in this bed, if something was suffering from not getting enough water. So I did that all along these beds here. All the same setup. Got the garlic and everything in there. Some tomatoes, they're looking a little worse for wear because they weren't being too happy in the house, so I had to move them out. Some of them got a little sunburnt because I don't usually harden off. It usually ends up me being with my mistake. But basically what you want to do is mulch this during the summer so that these are covered and they'll drip into the soil, and then the water will stay there because you don't want it to evaporate, and it'll keep your soil moist a lot longer. So you just mulch with straw, grass. You can mulch with black plastic if you wanted to. Cut out some black plastic and put it on top of there. Whichever one you want to do, but you can do whatever. It just depends on your preference and what's cheaper for you. But so here's the end of it. So it goes on a little L and back down. It comes, let me back up here. Comes up here down to a stent, which is my herb bed, or one of my herb beds. I'm probably gonna have another 2 here, and this has some cilantro in it, and then this big massive thing that's gonna go to flower this year, this parsley, hoping to get some seed off from that. Then it comes off to a stent here, and I have kind of a racetrack that goes off to here so that the water flows through both sides and kind of creates pressure in here. This is a pretty big bed. This has blue Aztec corn in it right now, so this is a corn bed. And I'm going to have lines of drip hose coming from each side and then off the corners there so that they get water. But so that's what's going to be with that one. It's going to be kind of a dual connected line. So basically this setup is just my setup. This setup would work for you if you live on a hill, or if you want to do something similar to what I'm doing. If any of these ideas you see and you like, you can definitely do irrigation like this. And then, so basically, it's just depending on your situation, your location. No 2 systems are probably going to look alike, so just keep that in mind. This isn't really a how-to. This is just kind of showing you what you can do with irrigation in your to kind of like, you know, keep you from watering all the time, make it a little bit of a less labor-intensive garden. Here's the elbow that comes off. Pipe goes down here, hits another elbow, comes over here. I have another stent of pipe here, comes up, and then it was a little far away from this, so I stented another pipe out and then put it right here, and then that snakes inside of that barrel. Then it comes up to the end, which I have glued and end capped, because that's where all the pressure is going to end up. And as it travels downhill like this and comes around, and it will travel uphill, but as it picks up speed like that and hits that bottom part, it's really going to have a lot of pressure, and it's going to want to force its way back up the hill because it did that long run down. So that long run down really just brought it really up to high pressure, and then once it hits there, it's going to kind of deadhead, and there's going to be probably a lot of water on the end there that's going to be flowing in, but it's also going to kind of move a little bit backwards when it's done flowing. So probably this bed here and the herb bed over there will get probably the most water. Like the water will drain into them when the system turns off, so they might get a little bit more water. But you just want to kind of look at your yard and lay it out how you think it would work best when it comes to pressure and everything. If you're running a rain barrel, you can put a rain barrel at the top of your hill. So if you have a plastic drum or whatever, and you can put it up on a little stand, and you can do the same thing. You could run it down the stand and then down like a top of a little hill if you have one, or just down the stand that you made, and it'll water your entire area. You don't have to have it connected to city water. That little like stent where it runs down that hill will build up enough pressure that it'll go through your entire system. Maybe not a system this big, but if it's flat ground, you know, and it's kind of a couple beds, then it should work pretty well for you. Anyway, you know, you gotta. I'm gonna do a quick talk about kind of compost here before we go. This is some compost, municipal compost I got from my city. You can see that it has a lot of wood chips in it and stuff, but you know, and a lot of people call that, you know, pretty poor product, but to me it's not really bad. You can tell the carbon in it because it's like, just as soon as I touch it, like I was working with it yesterday, trying to fill up this bed and some of the beds over here, and my hands were completely black, and you can tell that there's a lot of carbon or biochar basically in the mix because of that blackness that was on your hands. That means there's a lot of carbon in there, a lot of brown to nitrogen, so that's good. Also, this compost really brings in the worms. I found out last year, like, all of my beds have worms in them, and the populations are booming because I added this compost in there. So they really like it. These little brown clods I put some rock dust in here as well, so those just have rock dust on the outside. I was trying to mix it in and didn't always get all of it, but you can just see how black my hands are. But a good compost is necessary to produce a good crop. You need like, even if it has sticks in it, I usually don't sift my compost from my house because I don't care about the sticks, because I know that the sticks are going to be taken care of by the worms. The sticks are going to be taken care of by the fungi, which are going to make it into a carbon-rich source for your garden. So I always know that everything's going to be taken care of. I don't really worry too much about throwing little sticks and bits of, whatever, woods and stuff into my beds, because eventually they'll turn out like a bed like this, which this bed had compost like that in it. You can still see a few sticks, but for the most part it is pretty much broken down, so you don't really have to worry about it too much. Before we go, is in-ground gardening and compared to gardening in a raised bed or a raised block. Basically, a lot of in-ground gardening you can do almost anywhere. It's just some places you might not want to do it. You might want to set up a bed like this, or in barrels or something, because occasionally you can run into problems with someone spraying pesticide on the soil. They did something with the ground. For example, I found out from a neighbor, this patch over here, because it's a hill, it kind of wore off, but it used to be sprayed heavily with pesticides, or not pesticides, herbicides, sorry. And the herbicides on that hill over there, they killed off everything that my neighbors had planted, except for that one tree right there. That one maple tree survived. They had maybe 3 or 4 other trees here, small trees that were dwarves, but they were all killed off by the guy who sprayed pesticides that used to live in my house. And so basically, you never know what people are going to spray on the soil or spray to kill weeds and stuff like this. I don't do any of that because you can contaminate stuff, and I know that, so I kind of let it go. I'll hand weed if I need to. I'll put black plastic down if I need to, but for the most part, like this is clover here. You can see how it's all enriched from the compost and stuff that kind of comes out of this bed sometimes, and it's kind of in the bed a little bit into the compost down below. But you can see how big it is, and during the summer this stuff really puts on a lot of flowers. And anybody who knows about bees and clover are like this, and it really brings in the bees to have this clover here. Also, I have a bunch of clover on my lawn, and during the summer the clover really takes over the lawn because the grass kind of dies out and clover is more hardy. So when it comes to watering, I don't water my lawn too much because it's just kind of wasteful. So during the summer the clover takes over really harshly on the lawn, but it also puts in a really big bloom of flowers, and it brings lots of honeybees to the yard. Of course, I'm not going to have that problem anymore if I'm going to be buying and having a hive here in the house. But it's also going to be good food for those bees, my bees that I want to have here on the property. So basically, you might want to do a raised bed garden like this because of what people sprayed on the soil. You could do in-bed gardening, like for a little strip. I would do for your first year, do a little maybe 3 foot by maybe 5 or 6, tops 8 foot area. So basically, from that barrel is a good example, all the way out to here, and do that little section of garden. And if your plants, plant some plants there, maybe just some corn or something. If the plants look like they're really healthy and you fertilized them, perfectly and you did all the correct steps for corn and everything, and you get a good yield corn there, then you might want to think about buying some good compost, like I did over here underneath my truck. I have a bunch of good compost. Buying some good compost and putting it on the soil, and either working it into the top of the soil or just planting right on top of the compost you put right on top of your soil, and just letting everything grow there and making a bigger garden bed in ground. If it doesn't work out like that and you don't or you can't garden in the ground, then build some raised beds out of some timber, bricks, old wine barrels. You could do, you know, bag gardening. You can do little plastic tubs like that. You can buy plastic tubs from the store that are made for gardening, patio gardening and stuff. You know, any of those things you could do besides in the ground gardening, because if the soil is contaminated, don't use it. Don't even try to rehabilitate it, because some of the chemicals like Roundup and stuff they spray on the soil to get rid of weeds is detrimental to everything. So anyway, guys, I hope you found this episode a little bit helpful. I hope it was informative enough so that you can make some good decisions on where you plant your stuff and how you set up your irrigation for this growing season. So I hope you guys like it, and thanks for tuning in. Please like, comment, subscribe, and we're getting really close to the 1,000 goal here. I hope we can break it this year. I don't know what I'm saying. I hope that we can get to it this year. So you know, share this video or other videos that I have if you think that they're nice, or think that they presented a good information. Somebody who is trying to start a garden or needs help or motivation starting a garden, and they can benefit from this, and then we can get more subscribers here and have a bigger community and have more fun, and have a couple giveaways through here to give some people some more, you know, opportunities to grow stuff. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Hope everybody has a great day. Bye, everybody.